Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. Following on from the Thousand Suns preview we had yesterday, it seems that it is now the turn of the Grey Knights, and the Warhammer community have shown us a few of the brand new rules and abilities which will be coming for the Sons of Titan in their upcoming Codex. In what sounds something similar to the chapter command style upgrades that we saw in the Space Marine Codex, the Grey Knights are getting an ability which is called the Wisdom of the Prognosticars, which allows you to choose characters in your army and give them unique special abilities in the form of a vision of the Augurim or in the form of an item through the gifts of the Prescient rule. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think these upgrades will be costing you points or power. I don't think that this is the Grey Knights version of the chapter command style system, but the fact that you have to put it on one of your characters or one of your HQs does make it feel somewhat similar to that. So on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the Grey Knight version where you paid a few extra points and you could give them one of these unique buffs and abilities. And what they seem to do is that by giving one of your characters these visions or these gifts, they gain a bespoke ability which they can use over the course of the game. And they show off one of the visions of the Augurim, the Omen of Incursion, and what this does is essentially allows you to perform something similar to the Space Marine Auspex scan, whereby you can select a Grey Knight's core or character unit in the enemy's reinforcement step and use them to make an out-of-phase shooting attack on an enemy unit that has come in from reinforcements within 12 inches. The fact that you can select any Grey Knight's core or character to do this means that it is going to be really tricky, if not impossible, for your opponent to avoid it no matter where they try and set up on the board, as you will likely have at least one of those unit types within 12 inches of an enemy deep striking unit, and being able to punish your opponent by shooting at their squad before they can even move is incredibly powerful. And I can speak from experience with this because I have lost far too many death dreads by deep striking or using the teleporter and dropping them in just a little bit too close to my enemy's Auspex scan before. So doing this Omen of Incursion ability with, say, a unit of Grey Knight Purgators armed with Psy Cannons could absolutely devastate a unit of Terminators, or even just say a regular Grey Knight strike squad could be pumping out a huge number of bolter shots into, for example, a unit of deep striking Bloodletters, which would massively allow you to curb their damage potential if they're attempting to do, say, the Bloodletter bomb tactic. It really is something that your opponent will absolutely have to alter their play style and their tactics to adapt to, and that alone gives it some incredible value for your forces, helping you to funnel your opponent exactly where you want them and also do a good amount of damage potentially before they can even react. The gifts of the Prescient are the item variants of the Wisdom of the Prognosticars, and the one they show off, the Gem of Enoch 2, allows you to, once per battle, add 2 to psychic tests for the bearer when he attempts to cast powers from the Dominus discipline for the entire phase. Now, as a one-use item, this obviously does have its downsides and some people may not like it purely because of that, but the fact that it allows you to add 2 to powers for an entire phase means that this could easily affect a good 2, maybe even 3 powers that you're attempting to manifest, so it could massively pay off if it means that you can reliably get off those 1 or 2 key powers to set up charges or debuff your enemies so they're no longer a threat. I think it's fair to say that once per battle style items are quite often looked down upon, but this could honestly swing an entire psychic phase your way and really help you to have the edge over your opponent for the rest of the battle. I don't personally, just on what we've seen so far, think it's as good as the Omen of Incursion ability that we just saw, but obviously this could change if, when we see the 9th edition version of the Dominus Discipline and it turns out that it has a lot of incredibly powerful but incredibly hard to cast powers, for example, then the usefulness of this item could shoot up massively in my opinion. Finally, they also show off the new rule that the Grey Knights got in Psychic Awakening, the Tides mechanic, and this too appears to have been expanded, now letting you choose from 5 different tides instead of 4, and much like before, you choose a tide at the start of the battle and then it gives all of your psychic units a buff for the entire game. They do state a bit later on that using the warp shaping psychic power you can switch up the tides mid-battle, and with 5 options rather than 4 now, hopefully there will be some interesting mechanical and tactical play for switching them up to best suit your needs in the game. But in any case, they show off one of the tides, the Tide of Celerity, which allows you to massively close the gap on your enemies much faster. What this tide does is twofold, not only granting you a reasonably useful ability to count advance rolls of 1 and 2 as a 3 instead, meaning that if you want to get up close and personal and are advancing a lot of your units, you can be sure that you will be getting at least a good 9 inches of movement on things like your strike squads. But even better than that, in my opinion, when you roll a charge roll, you can also treat each dice roll of a 1 or a 2 as a 3 as well. So if you remember, charges are 2d6, so that means that your minimum charge range in this tide is going to be 6 inches, which honestly is absolutely amazing for getting that reliability in your army. And there is nothing more annoying than failing those 3 or 4 or 5 inch charges, and whilst this won't massively help you to achieve longer charges, it does still help of course. Rolling a 6 and a 1 for example will now get you that 9 inch charge range, but the main thing for me from this ability is that you now have that confidence that every single 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 inch charge that you want to make is absolutely 100% guaranteed, which I just think is incredibly powerful. I love having that reassurance and that reliability in making those charges when you absolutely need to. So it will be really interesting to see what the other tides are like, whether they've changed up much from the Psychic Awakening versions, and how you can potentially switch up the tides mid-battle to maybe get the defensive ones turn 1 and 2 to keep you alive, and then switch them up using this psychic power to switch to, say, the Tide of Celerity when you're in turn 2 or turn 3, and just make sure that you absolutely do get those charges off. So I think there will be a lot of strategical play when it comes to the tides, which sounds really interesting to me. Overall, I'm pretty happy with some of the changes that we've seen for the Grey Knights in this article. It doesn't sound like it's quite as unique and as exciting as the Thousand Suns in my opinion, but hopefully it will make the Grey Knights much more interesting and have a lot more nuance when you play them, and depending on which brotherhood you play as, maybe that will change things up as well in terms of what tides you want to be in, or what wisdom of the prognosticar you want to give to your characters. So overall, some really good exciting changes coming, and I think it's going to make Grey Knights a lot more fun to play. But what do you think of the rules that we were shown off in the article today? Are you excited to see more of the wisdom of the prognosticar abilities? And also, what do you think the other tides will do? Do you think they're going to be similar to the ones that we saw in Psychic Awakening, or do you think they are all going to have been changed up quite drastically? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I will catch you later, guys.